once again. Welcome to ghprepscholar, and for this video, it's all about the SAT. So for this one, we would cover what the SAT is about, how to register for it, how to prepare for it, sources to use as a Ghanaian high schooler or a Ghanaian person who is done with high school and trying to apply to colleges in the US. So the SAT is basically a standardized test organized by the US College Board, high schoolers as one of the data points to submit as part of your college applications to schools. Now, the reason why it's very beneficial is because most schools or most countries have different educational systems and everything. So it's sometimes very hard to have a very objective way to judge the aptitude of like students. So the SAT, as I said, is a standardized aptitude test which would help them all schools for every student regardless of where you are around the world. If you take that test, basically it could be used as a data point by the colleges to be able to judge you and compare you to other students around the world and also to US high school students, and also as a metric to see how well you can perform in college. But basically in the SAT you're being tested on math and basically English in your writing, reading, and like I think grammar as well, but I'm not going to get into all those details. You can read all about that on College Board, this website right here, and read all about it. So in my own experience, I remember I took the SAT about 3 times, and I wanted to share it with you guys so that you can understand where I came from. And the truth of the SAT is it's all about practicing. The amount of time you get to actually practice will determine how much score you get relatively. So the first example, what I normally like to tell people, or like what I would like to tell you all, is if you've never taken the test before, it's okay. My recommendation is the approach I took, and I think it is better also could be one approach. Is there are some mock tests online. Try and simulate the test by sitting down and taking an entire test on your own just to see the score you get. And the reason why that could be a good thing is because once you simulate and you take the test on yourself and you see the score you get, it will give you an idea of how much, in fact, the score you get will give you an idea of where you stand and how much work you have to do. So basically, the first time I ever took this test, I never prepared for it. Like I took it just going there. I thought, oh, I'm getting A's in my school. I was a top school student. Like, it's SAT. Let me just take it. So I can show you guys here. I'm not afraid to show it. The first time I took my test, this is the score that I got. I got 1250 out of 1600. So obviously, like I said, someone who was good or like trying to like my ego, I was sort of like very proud. I was like, okay, I want to do more. I want to be better than what I did. So the next thing was that I rushed. I didn't even prepare well. I just sat down, I rushed, and I wanted to just take the next test, thinking, you know what, if I take it, I'm going to do better. And I didn't prepare as much. So when I took the test the next time, you guys can guess what happened, thinking I would do well. The next time I even took the test, I did even worse. Like I even performed worse, which for me kind of dampened me. So in the end, I decided to actually sit down and actually like study for the test. And truthfully, when I did study, as I already showed, when I did study, my score jumped by this much. So you can tell already it jumped by over 200 points. So what does it tell you? It tells you something. It tells you that if you actually put in the work, just like me, you can actually make it. So enough with that and everything. Like you can read more about it and understand the whole test. But I will go on to answer the next question: that should you take the test? I think now in this era with COVID and everything, now most schools have made the test optional, and so like students are not required to take it. But during my time, I had to. For most of the schools that I applied to, I had to take the test. But my advice is, as a Ghanaian student, I would always recommend you take the test. Only you should not take the test only in situations where you really, really cannot afford to take the test, like it's costly. But if that is not the reason, I would recommend you take the test for a few reasons. First of all, most Ghanaian high school kids, you will be applying with, let's say, your West African exams as your WASI exams. And truthfully, the WASI exams compared is not on the highest pedestal compared to other exams such as the GSC A levels or the Cambridge level A levels. It's not compared to the IBs, the APs, like those are on the higher pedestals. So the WASI compared to them is really not like your strongest data point. So taking the SAT, you can have very high SAT score, WASI scores, and your transcripts and everything, but having a good SAT score kind of gives at a better data point. As I said, all of them are data points to help judge your candidacy. And why not take it? You might get a good score. If you don't get a good score and you don't want to submit it, then you're free not to submit it. But at least I'd always recommend you take it. But you definitely have to put in the work. So I always highly recommend students take the SAT. Plus, it's really not that hard. I know when you get the score, it feels like as if it's really hard. The first time you take it, if I understand there's a difference in the educational system, and when you take that test, you will immediately notice it. But it's not most of the concepts you see there, especially in the math or the verbal, it's not something that is out of this world. You would realize that those are things you could know, or those are things you should know. It's just that you've not practiced enough for it, or like your brain has not been like tuned to see such things or recognize such pattern at all. So you realize that with more and more practice, you will get to it. So how do you prepare? What I say is that for me, when I prepared, like in my final one to get the 1470, what I did was that I gave it everything. Some of you might still be in school or your final year of school when you're trying to take the test, but I think a good number of you too might be done with school and just solely preparing for this, which is also the most context of a Ghanaian student. If that's the case for me, I literally was spending my whole day just preparing for the SAT. I take learn in the mornings, afternoon, evenings, and on every Fridays or every week, I take a full test to simulate and see what's going on. So I'd say go prepare as much as you can. The thing for me, or the secret, especially with math, because as you can see in my final score here, the math I was almost near a perfect score. So the thing with the math was the math questions. This is what's going to happen. The concepts you're going to ask you, you're going to see them. They're not going to change. The problem is they're just going to change the numbers. For instance, if they're just going to ask you simultaneous equation, they're just going to change the numbers, but the same concept of simultaneous equation or systems of two equations is always going to come. So, okay, find the angle of this, let's say triangle, given some other angle, using alternating, whatever. Like, you get what I mean? Or find the roots of the equation or so. The concepts are not going to change. It's just that the questions or the numbers are going to change. So, what is the key here? The key here for the SAT math is to practice as much as possible. And the reason is because practice as much different questions as possible so that you can get exposed to as many different concepts as possible. Most of the concepts you've probably been taught in school in either core math or elective math, but there will be just a few nuances or a few different concepts that you've probably not seen before, but trust me, they're really not that hard. Like you will pick it up most easily. So that's the trick for the math. For the English is really just being able to read and comprehend the passages. But what I will do is that is not the point of the video. I would direct you guys the resources you guys can use to basically study for the SAT. People have different resources they use to study for the SAT. And what I'm gonna say is that I'm gonna present a couple of options. The first option for me, which is also very efficient, honestly, is the option of taking the free like if you can do something or practice for something for free, I always recommend that. And the one thing that really helped me boost my score literally when I found it was Khan Academy. This is my account and this is my dashboard, and as you guys can see here, it's been a while, but I solved almost 2,000 questions in math. I was basically just solving questions every day, and it really helped me. And there are so many questions, like it helped me. You can practice, you can even take on full test, like I was practicing on test and all that, and it really helped me, and it's for free. You can do all this, you can improve your math level, your reading and writing levels. They literally break down everything, give you tips and strategies. You can literally practice different parts of the math questions. Let's say it's linear equations, everything you can be practicing. Look at videos, see them, like you will become very good. They have it all. They have it for math, reading, everything. You can practice every single thing. So it's very, very good, and it's for free. The second one that I'd recommend also, but it's not for free, is Cransay. This one was given to me. I got it as a gift from someone, but I got it. I think by the time I got it, it was for $300. But so it's a bit on the moderate side if you have the money to spare for it. But it's really good as well. It's really good on the reading. The SAT. I know there are other things like ACT and stuff, but the SAT is the one that is mostly written by Ghanaians, and that's the one I have the most exposure to. And with the yeah, so I'd say that's why I'm going on with the SAT. But same can be transferred to ACT and everything. So they take care of that as well. It's very, very good. Next thing is that I'm going to recommend also other books if you guys don't want to use Khan Academy for free. But these other books you might have to purchase them on Amazon or the likes. So one of the books is basically Black Book, which is a very popular book. It's literally very good. Like a lot of people use it for the reading, and it's the only thing for me. The only disadvantage I didn't like about it is if you're a first timer, the Black Book can be intimidating because like it's a huge book. It's like thousands of pages. And yeah, so you can purchase one on Amazon, but it's very good. For me, I would recommend that you use the Black Book if you've at least practiced SAT or you know about SAT at least for a month or so. Like you know what to expect. You've taken the test, like practice test a couple of times, and you're still not doing the readings. And then they show you some tricks and patterns to basically be able to even answer questions. Basically, like this book can even help you answer some reading passages without even reading the passage or understanding the passage. So it's very good. But you see, before you can get to that level, you need to have a basic understanding of the SAT and like the questions and everything. You can purchase one here, and all of them you can purchase them on Amazon or most of these book sites. The only thing is that if you're in Ghana, I'm going to give an example. Also, sometimes it's not easy to purchase a book from here if you don't want to like, because this one you can have it on the Kindle electronic form. But if you want to have the paperback, that you want it to be mailed to you or shipped, I know shipping fees and everything to come to Ghana is very crazy. So what I'd recommend is that I'm going to give a list of some of the SAT prep centers in Ghana. And even though you don't have to go to them for classes, most of them have these paper books. So you just call them and tell them like, hey, you really want this book and you're ready to pay for it. And then you can just go there and grab it in person. So that's my recommendation for that as well. So yeah, aside the Black Book, there's this other one, McGraw Hill, which also is good for English and math. I really use McGraw Hill for English. And just a note, you don't have to use all these books because it's just overwhelming. Just honestly go for one or two books. Honestly, you can even just do it with Khan Academy website and practice and be totally okay. But the truth is, sometimes with these books, you never know which book clicks for you till you pick and read the book. But honestly, you don't have to get all these books. These are just good recommendations out there. There's McGraw Hill out there. I use this one mostly for English, but it's also good. And then I use Panda SAT. But this one I only use it for math. I like their math because I can solve so many math questions. I liked it. The next one is this one, Erica Meltzer. A lot of people recommend it for English. I have a couple of friends that literally blew the English out of the water because of this. For me personally, my only thing was the reason why I did so well in the math and I didn't do well in the English was because I tried English a couple of times and I didn't really like the English. So I was like, you know what? If I want to get a good score, I might as well just perfect on the math. Like, let me just perfect on what I think I know best, you know? So that's the approach I took. But you don't have to take that approach. If you can prepare for both and do well, do well. But if you feel like you're stronger in one more than the other, just really try and like perfect the other one, you know. But I mean, try and just perfect both. So yeah. And then the last book I'd recommend is the Princeton Review. A couple of people also that I know, even here when I came here to the US for college, said they really use this book. Even though I never really used it, but a lot of people, especially the Asians that I've like talked to here, and we all know the Asians have really high scores. Like literally, I think all the Asians in my school literally got 1550s and above. So they all said this book. So you know, I've never read it, but I mean, if someone is saying it's good, I think any book is good. Just pick and see if it works for you. It works for you. But these are a couple of the recommendations, and all of these, as I said, you can buy them here. If you want the paperback and you can't get them shipped to you due to shipping fees to Ghana, just talk to any of the SAT prep companies, which I'll probably list a couple of them, and then you just pretty much talk to them, and then they will just give them to you. They understand the case. So the next question is, what about SAT 2? SAT 2 is basically like a specific SAT, like it's a subject-based SAT. Like that means, for instance, if you wanted to write like SAT 2, like let's say physics, it's just basically physics alone. Like you just be writing a test, SAT test in physics, and they'll ask this question alone. Is it, what about it? Should you write it? I'd say it depends. Honestly, I didn't need to write it. A lot of my friends didn't need to write it and they're going to schools. The most important for you to write it is when, let's say, you have the time and luxury and you really want to showcase that you're really good, and then you can use that. And it's an extra data point. If you get a good score, it's a good data point. So the only other reason I'd also recommend you write it is, let's say you believe in yourself that you really can do good in physics. Let's say you like physics. Let's say you want to go and study physics in college. But let's say if something happened in the WASI, so your physics, you let's say got a B3 or a C or a B2, but you don't want these colleges to feel like, oh, you're actually not good in physics, even though you want to do physics. So then you can use the SAT 2 as like a backup. Then, so I have one friend that did that. I think he performed, he's at Stanford right now. He literally was on the science and math quiz team and everything, but the problem was that on his WASI, he got 7 A's and he had a B3 in physics, even though he was very good. So he didn't want these colleges to feel like he's not good in physics. So he took the SAT 2 in physics and got like an 800. And now he's at Stanford. So in such a situation, I guess it could work, you know. So, but aside that, you really don't need it. So yeah, just the SAT is enough, honestly. So I'd say, and just yeah, and these are all just data points. And honestly, as I said, if the only way I'd recommend you don't write SAT if it's just too expensive for you to take the test. The next one says, yeah, so this is the route when you want to prepare for the SAT on your own and you don't want to pay any fees. The second option is ask anything. If you want to go through this process and you feel like you don't want to do it on your own and you need a group or something, you can go with these test consulting agencies as well in Ghana. And obviously for those ones to train you for the test, they charge a fee and they charge you for teaching you and everything. And if you want to do that and you have the money for it, why not? Go ahead. Or you can do a combination of both, whichever works for you. But I think I always want to also support those that don't really have the money and want to do it on their own. And I want to prove that everybody can sit down and do it on their own if they wanted to. But if you wanted to go with an approach of like going with a test agency, most of them are really based in Accra and Kumasi. So that's a heads up. Like if you're not in these regions, you might want to really go there. I know some of them try and offer these online classes. The best thing is if you're there, you have to go in person to really enjoy it. So the ones I'd recommend is YAV Ghana. Now YAV Ghana is really based in Kumasi, but YAV Ghana is like a miracle. Basically, they literally really are getting, as you can see it, they're getting the kids, they're getting people into schools, and they're really teach. Like, I'm not even kidding. They're really good, and they're really like a low cost approach. You can call them to find out the prices and everything, and they're really based in Kumasi, very close to Tech, like KNUST campus. So you can find out. I have like I know a couple of people that have made it out there, and they're really good as well. So you can try them out. And apparently they have this very special approach where if you get a 1490 and above on your SAT, they will decide to like take care of your college application process for you, like such as applying to the schools and dealing with the financial institution, like the whole application process for you. So they have these really cool advantages of being there, and they really help. So you can join them. The next one, which is probably one of the most popular in Ghana, is AFEX. So AFEX Test Prep basically is also there. The only downside with AFEX Test Prep is they're really on the expensive side, very expensive, like super expensive. So I mean, they get the kids into schools. So the truth is, if you really want to be there and do it, they are based in Accra and Kumasi as well. They're even based in Kenya. I know they have other branches in, I think, Takrady, but only the Accra and Kumasi ones are the most effective. So you might want to be there. So, and honestly, when you're going to take your test on the test day, if you're taking it in person, I know now they're trying to make a digital one in March of 2023 onwards, but if you're going to take the test this year, you have to be in our current Kumasi anyway. So I'd say, yeah, if I test for, but they're a bit on the expensive side. You can call them always. They're all of these are their numbers and their emails are down on their sites here. You can just type it and you can find it. The next one I'd recommend is Timeline Trust. They're also based in Accra and Kumasi. They do all these things as well, pretty much. But I'd say the top two are Afghan and AFEX, in my opinion. And then the last one is AK's Educational Consult. There are other ones, but these are the four that I'd say they're the go-to. Yeah. But mostly my top two is the Afghan and AFEX, with the Afghan being my number one. What is the fee? As we keep saying, oh, you should take it. The fee basically, I think in Ghana, you can find it on the site, but the fee as it stands right now, the fees is $103. So $103 is, it's generally not something crazy that could, because SAT, taking SAT can change your future, but obviously I have to be mindful that $103 in Ghanaian cities is a bit of money. So obviously if you can pay, or if your parents can afford it, definitely do it and take the test. But if you cannot, try and see if you can like borrow. I think some of these consults like Yavgan and the rest, if you join them actually and they see that you're a very smart kid and good candidate, but then they feel like you can't pay for it, some of them actually pay for you. Like, but you really have to be exceptional. Like you have to show that you have what it takes, you know. So if you can do that, they will pay for it for you. If not, then I'd recommend trying to see if you can like borrow and actually take the test, and like after you take the test you take time off to pay the person in increments. But if you can't do it all, you don't want to take the risk and everything, and it's just going to be a burden and nightmare, I'd say don't do it, like then you really have to trust you can still apply to most of these schools now without your SAT, and you should be fine. Like if you really wanted to have a better chance, if you had a good score, it could increase your chances. As of already explained the reason why you should take the SAT. So the next step is for those of you that, as I said, are not doing the release courses and want to sit down and do it on your own. Obviously, you have to prepare for the SAT. Now I've showed you the materials and all the organizations you can join. Now the problem is, how do you actually register for the SAT? Most of the time, if you join these organizations, they can register for the SAT for you. You just have to send them the money and they don't do it for you. But now, if you want to do it on your own, what you do is that I think I will walk you guys through an example of how to do it on your own. Just go, you type register for SAT. It took me here, register for SAT, and then it showed these are the international fees, as I said. So basically, there's a $60 fee, and then in Africa you pay 43. That's what makes it 103. So pretty much that's it. And so now let's try and see if we can register for the SAT together. Not that hard, but I guess we can try and register for the SAT and see. It's been a while, but let's see. Yeah, we can just get started, and then we can just we'll have our information down there, put it there, date of birth, your high school, you put it there. Honestly, you put your high school there, and then basically you put your high school there. If it's not there, you can just put none. Your graduation date, you can put your graduation date there. I'm just gonna put 2023, and I'm gonna put May, and I'm just gonna be grade, and then I'm gonna just say for some of you are gonna be no longer in high school, but you can just put it there. Like, you know what, I'm just gonna put this one there and just put 2022, and then confirm, and then confirm, and then confirm address, phone number, and then I just go to continue, and then they update the information, and then they basically just get, okay, tell us a bit about yourself. These are all filled. The race, Black African American, including Africa. You're not Hispanic. Tell us a bit about yourself. Highest education level, tell about your parents. My parents have a military connection. English, continue. These are all there because I filled it before, but I'm just taking you guys through it. Student profile. Just continue. Honestly, I plan on applying AP credit. Basically, ability in your subjects compared to others of your age. Honestly, I just said highest 10%. I just said it be honest with yourself and put it there. But honestly, it doesn't have to put yourself there. Coursework in math, you can fill it in the pre-algebra. Yeah, you can just say whatever you're taking. Pre-algebra, mostly you've taken it. You've probably not taken this one. You've taken algebra, you've taken geometry. For most of the time, calculus, you've taken that. We definitely did not take computer science or other math courses. I think they're probably gonna let me. Yeah, English, blah blah blah. The coursework, you tell the stuff you've taken. English, composition, writing. I didn't take British, we didn't take world literature. We don't take journalism in high school unless your high school does. If they do, please take it. I just chose public speaking. Sure. In my high school, we did that. Biology, I took chemistry, I took physics. Because I was a science student back in Ghana, so I took those things. I took engineering. I took engineering also because I went to two high schools, one in the US and one in Ghana. So, but I think for Ghanaians, mostly those who do science will just do physics, chemistry. But if you didn't, you did arts or business. Just select what you have to select. Like, I think at that point, you didn't. I took US history. I took this. I took economics. But if you didn't take it, then if you took geography, I know Ghana. Some people do geography. You do history, Asian history. Just put them there. Or other social studies course. Put it there. So the next thing is whatever you took. I took French. I took Spanish. And I took other language. You took Chi in Ghana, so you can take that. High school, you can say all the things you did. Did you do sports? Did you do volunteering, community service? I did that. I did debate. Like, take all the things you did. Basically, it's just a bunch of stuff, honestly. And then you can just say all the stuff you done. Like, basically, this is not even the hard part. This is basically, this is just the majors that you're interested in studying: engineering, computer engineering, accounting. Just say any of them you're actually interested in. co-educational, all that, financial aid. Okay, cool. I think this is all some very crazy. Yeah, the next part is the date and the test center. So I think what you have to do is you just basically have to, oh my God, yeah, you have to just read everything, honestly. Just read. Okay, now you read, continue. The next part is basically you're taking it outside the US. So, yeah, most likely you're taking it outside the US. So the upcoming test date, let's say I pick November 19th. Yeah, digital, and then next. So you can say next, Ghana, find a test center in Ghana. Oh, previous. Let's see, December 10th. We pick here. We pick. Oh, yep. So, yep. So you see, we pick a date, and then we see we got ICS in Kumasi, seat available. I think the other ones probably the seats are all picked up already. So you pick a seat for ICS Kumasi. I think probably the Accra one's already filled up. If you're in Accra, I think if we selected another date, we might get some for Accra. So let's say if I selected March 11th, you pick next, you should be able to get some previously. Let's say May 6th. If I pick next, oh no, search for a test center, find a test center. You have to show you Accra, all these ones, Hilltop, and then it gives you Hilltop in Kumasi, and then it gives you a couple of them, and then probably give you it gives you Lincoln in Swedro here, Tema, Denyame. So you get a couple of schools, and then you just pick whichever one you want. You select. Let's say I select Accra, whichever one I want. Let's just say I select this one rather. I just select it, and then I continue. And then you select. Yeah, you select 20 minutes. They said a cup of coffee. You just do this. Yeah, you just select, and this way you just pay like the money. I think at this point you just grab your card, or if it's your parent, do this your parent, get your parents' card details. Now you upload the photo, then you just do it. I think so review and edit photo, I just say okay, and then you continue. So you use this photo, sorry guys for uploaded. Let's review, check out. What type? It is digital now, so you can basically use a laptop, a MacBook, Windows, whatever if you're doing the digital one. But if you're not picking the digital one, you can just avoid the digital one. So honestly, so now because I picked the SAT in that time, it's literally giving me that one. But if it wasn't the digital one, that's from 2023 be using digital. But if you pick before that, it will not be digital, so you don't need to use digital. But basically, if you don't know what to be using on that, they just say I haven't decided, but I have access to a device. And then you can just say if you don't know, just select. Probably Windows. Most of you probably use Windows. Whatever, MacBook, whatever. Honestly, just pick continue. You just say this. You review the fees, blah blah blah. You have this. Yes. And then you can do PayPal, or as I said, there's something. Once again, if you want to make the payment by, let's say you don't have anybody with a card, I'm assuming those that don't have cards or those that don't have people with cards. If you don't have people that have a payment card, like most of your parents will have a card. If you have a bank account, you have a card. But if let's say your parents, you can ask your parents for it, or your teacher in school, like a very close person you know has a card and can pay for it, just give the person the money to do this. In the worst case, as I said, always call these agencies that I've told you, from FX to YAF or whatever, whichever one you're close to. Send them the mobile money or whatever, and then they'll make the payment for you. Just give them your college board details, and then they'll just go through and make the payment for you and everything. They normally will do it because they understand your situation, honestly. Worst case, if you're trying to make this payment and it's just not going through, just and all of this, don't reach out. Just reach out to ghprepscholar, and we'll see what we can do about it. And you submit all of this, you should be good to go, and you would be good to go. Honestly, and that's it. Let me know what you guys think about the video. If you guys need some more questions answered, ask in the comment section, email us, and we will reach out to you. But we're always here for Ghanaians, and see you guys for the next video, which will pretty much be about also going through the other next hard process in this application, which is probably filling up your Common App application. Because once you can do these three, practice for the SAT, get your required documents, and stuff in your Common App application, you're actually really deep in the process then. So that will be the next video. Do not forget to ask questions. Ask all the questions you want, or either email us or just ask in the comment section, and or email us, and we'll do well to answer your questions for you. Till next time.